Not everything that asks for your attention deserves it. Not every thought, conversation, environment, or influence needs a place in your inner world. And yet, so much of what shapes our lives enters without us ever choosing it. What we watch, who we listen to, the conversations we repeat, the environments we move through every day. Over time, these inputs don't just influence how we think, they influence how we live. The quality of your life is shaped by what consistently holds your attention. Not just what you do, but what you think about, what you absorb, and what you allow to influence you day after day. Curating your mind matters because it affects how you make decisions, how you relate to others, and how you show up in your work, your relationships, and your creativity. When we aren't intentional about what we take in, we often end up living from reaction instead of choice. You're listening to the Soft Living Podcast. I'm Kathleen, your host, and today we're talking about curating your mind. Today's episode is about becoming more aware of what's shaping your inner world and learning how to choose inputs that support the kind of life you actually want to live. Your inner world is shaped every day by what you're exposed to, the conversations you're part of, the environments you spend time in, the information you absorb, and the people you allow close to you. And over time, those inputs don't just influence how you think, they influence how you feel, how you create, how you relate, and what you believe is possible for your life. When we don't curate intentionally, we often find ourselves feeling distracted, uninspired, or disconnected, even when nothing is technically wrong. Curating your mind is an act of self-respect. It's also an act of discipline. It's choosing growth over noise and choosing expansion over overwhelm. And we're often taught to strengthen the mind, to sharpen it, optimize it, or push it further. But I've learned that the mind isn't meant to hold everything. It's meant to be tended to. Just like your body responds to what you consume physically, your mind responds to what you consume emotionally and mentally. The ideas you take in, the energy around you, the stories you repeat, and the voices you allow close. When we don't curate that intentionally, our inner world can start to feel crowded or restless, even when life looks calm on the outside. Can you remember a time when you felt overwhelmed simply by the act of consuming? Curating your mind goes far beyond what you scroll. It includes the people you surround yourself with, the conversations you regularly have, the environments you spend your time in, the emotional tone of your days. Ask yourself, do these spaces expand me, teach me something, inspire me, or do they make me feel tired, burnt out, or negative? For some people, this shows up as leaving conversations feeling heavier than when they arrived. For others, it's feeling second-guessed, rushed, or diminished after spending time in certain environments. Sometimes it's noticing that certain conversations pull you into comparison, self-doubt, or constant urgency instead of curiosity, confidence, or calm. Something I like to ask myself are, do these conversations support my growth or keep me looping in the same patterns? Do the people around me encourage thoughtful reflection or constant stimulation and distraction? Growth is often shaped by what feels supportive and nourishing, not just what's loud, familiar, or popular. I know we live in a digital world and information is always available, but not everything that's available is meant for you or needs your attention. Something I've had to practice is moving from passive consumption to conscious choice. Instead of letting algorithms decide what fills my mind, I try to be more intentional about what I seek out and who I allow to influence me. This means searching for topics I genuinely want to learn more about, listening to voices that deepen my thinking instead of fragmenting it, choosing when and how I consume information rather than consuming by default. Choosing when to consume creates space, and space changes how we think. This became especially clear to me while creating this podcast. I realized that creation doesn't just come from effort, it comes from the quality of your inner environment. And I started thinking about it the same way we think about food. When we prepare a meal, we choose ingredients intentionally. We think about what will nourish our body, give us energy, support our health, and help us feel good. What we eat consistently affects how we feel, how we function, and how we show up in our lives. And our minds work the same way. The thoughts we consume, the conversations we absorb, the content we take in, these are ingredients too. And over time, they shape our energy, our creativity, and our emotional health. When my mind felt overstimulated or pulled in too many directions, creating felt very heavy. But when I became more intentional, fewer voices, more discernment, more space, ideas began to arrive more naturally. And so something I've made a conscious choice to do is create more than I consume. And I already have seen such a huge difference in the clarity of my mind, my thoughts, how focused I am and how focused I feel. And I have more time to do things that help me thrive, which in turn gives me the energy to show up more present for my loved ones and people I care about. What you feed your mind determines how it feels to live inside it. So what can you choose to be more conscious of today? See how that makes you feel when you make that one small shift. This doesn't have to be complicated. Curating your mind starts with noticing. Notice how you feel after scrolling. Notice how you feel after certain conversations and when you're around certain people. Or even how you speak to yourself, not just in the big moments, but in the quiet, everyday ones. This is one part of the process that often gets overlooked. Kindness starts with awareness, noticing the words that surface when you're tired, unsure, or disappointed. Being kind doesn't mean forcing positivity or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing language that's honest and supportive, with patience and compassion. When you notice self-criticism, pause and ask, is this helpful? Is this true? Is this how I want to move forward? Over time, this conscious shift creates safety within yourself. And from that place, clarity, confidence, and growth can actually take root. Writing by hand, it's something that I've always loved to do. I think it's somewhat of a lost art now, but it's something that, for me, creates a different kind of awareness. It invites presence instead of performance, and it really grounds me in the present moment. Alongside journaling, simple offline practices can help reset your mental space. Spending time in nature, even briefly, to ground your nervous system. Creating digital detox moments, an evening, a morning, or walk without your phone. Choosing intentional pauses throughout the day to check in how you're actually feeling. And some easy ways to begin are setting gentle time boundaries and scrolling or media consumption, whether that's setting a limit on your phone or making that mental note to yourself. I find that this can be really helpful. Also, choosing specific times to consume instead of doing it continuously or automatically picking up your phone. Being more selective about whose voices you engage with regularly. And doing a simple life audit and asking what feels nourishing right now and what doesn't. These aren't rigid rules, they're invitations. Small conscious choices that help you curate a life and a mind that supports your personal growth and helps you thrive. Something else that you may want to ask is, what feels like mental clutter that I'm ready to loosen my grip on? Asking these questions really help me gain clarity and gain perspective into what's actually important. And creating small pockets of quiet or blank space in your day helps slow down, reflect, and reconnect without distraction. Also, choosing intentional pauses throughout the day to check in with how you're actually feeling. So some practical ways to begin can include setting time boundaries around scrolling or media consumption. Creating small pockets of quiet or blank space in your day helps shift you out of reaction mode and back into choice. This might look like simplifying your surroundings, slowing your breath, or giving your thoughts somewhere to land on paper or in stillness. Over time, you may also want to start noticing patterns in how you think. When the same critical or limiting thoughts show up, awareness gives you the option to meet them differently, with curiosity instead of judgment and with intention instead of habit. Mind curation isn't about controlling your thoughts, it's about creating enough space to choose which ones you continue to carry. So I'll leave you with this reflection. What is currently shaping your inner world without you consciously choosing it? And what would it feel like to surround your mind with inputs that genuinely support your growth, creativity, and well-being? You don't need to change everything. One intentional choice is enough to begin. Curating your mind isn't about restriction. It's about alignment. It's choosing what helps you expand mentally, emotionally, creatively, so the life you're building feels more intentional and not accidental. Thank you for listening and for being here today. If this episode resonated, I'd love for you to reflect on it or share it with someone who might need this reminder. I'll see you in the next episode of the Soft Living Podcast.